It was 3 in the morning when he woke up, the hour when the night feels thin and the world seems to hold its breath. Nothing had disturbed his sleep. There was no sound, no dream, no sudden movement. He simply opened his eyes and knew, with quiet certainty, that something was wrong. He lay on his back, staring at the ceiling. The same ceiling he had seen every night of his life greeted him, unchanged, familiar, almost comforting. The cracks were still there. The faint stain near the corner hadn't moved. Everything in the room appeared exactly as it should have been, and yet the feeling in his chest told him otherwise. He took a slow breath and then tried to move. His body did not respond. At first, he wasn't afraid. Confusion came first, a dull and growing realization that his mind was awake while his body remained still. He tried to lift his arm, Tinny's legs, but they felt distant, as though they belonged to someone else entirely. When he tried to speak, his voice refused to come out, trapped somewhere deep inside his throat. The silence around him felt heavier than it should have been. It wasn't the natural quiet of a sleeping house. It felt deliberate, as though all sound had been carefully removed so that something else could be heard. The electric fan continued to hum in the corner of the room, its rhythm steady and familiar. But as he listened, he noticed something unsettling. Between each rotation, there was a pause just long enough to feel wrong. In those pauses, he became aware of breathing that was not his own, slow and patient, as if whoever or whatever was sharing the room had all the time in the world. He tried to move his fingers. Nothing happened. He tried his toes. Still nothing. Yet he could feel them clearly, the weight of his body against the mattress, the cool air against his skin. This wasn't a dream. He was fully awake. His eyes shifted toward the door. It stood slightly open, just as it always did. Everything was painfully familiar. Then he noticed the shadow near the doorway. It did not move or flicker. It did not stretch with the light or change its shape. It simply existed, dark and silent, like it had always been there, and he was only now allowed to see it. He couldn't tell if he was looking at it or if it was calmly observing him. Fear finally arrived. He remembered something his grandmother once told him, long ago. If you wake up and can't move, don't fight it. Don't close your eyes. Just wait. But waiting felt impossible. The pressure on his chest grew heavier, not painful, but firm, as though something had settled there with intention. Panic crept in, and with it, the desperate need to escape. He broke the rule. He squeezed his eyes shut. The moment he did, the room changed. The hum of the fan stopped. The air grew cold, and the breathing beside him moved closer. He felt it then, not just weight, but presence. Something leaned down toward his face, close enough that he could feel warm breath against his skin. A voice slipped into his ear, no longer whispering, no longer distant, but clear and certain. Don't pretend you're asleep. His eyes flew open. The shadow was no longer by the door. It was on him. He couldn't see its face, but he could feel its shape pressing against his chest, holding him down with a strength that felt effortless. His body refused to move. His voice was gone. The only thing he could do was stare as the darkness leaned closer, filling his vision. The pressure suddenly vanished. Air rushed back into his lungs. His arms and legs responded again. He sat up, gasping, his heart pounding violently in his chest. The room looked normal. The fan spun once more. The doorway stood empty. Shaking, he told himself it was over, that he had panicked. That it had all been in his head. He lay back down, refusing to close his eyes for a long time. Eventually, morning came. Light filled the room. The house came alive. With sound, everything felt ordinary again, and with each passing moment, the memory of the night faded, losing its sharpness, losing its weight. Later that day, his mother asked him why he looked so tired. He told her about the strange dream and laughed it off, calling it nothing more than his imagination. She listened quietly, then told him something that made the smile disappear from his face. Before morning, she had heard him in his room, not crying, not struggling, talking, calmly, as if someone had been sitting beside his bed, and he had been answering every question. The child said nothing. because he remembered the last thing the voice had asked him, right before he could move again. It hadn't asked his name. It had asked if he was ready to wake up somewhere else,